Hello. This is recorded quite a bit after the picking up the Royal Enfield video. So I picked up this Royal Enfield in I think it was July or June of 2024. It's now December of 2024, and I actually only just got round to editing that video and uploading it. So as you can see in that video, the weather is beautiful. But I uploaded that video and it got quite a few views. I think about 3,000 of you already have watched it and quite liked the video. So I thought that I'd do a little update video on how I've been enjoying my Meteor 350. So far we're on 2,767 miles. I've serviced the bike myself, including valve clearances. But yeah, how have I been enjoying the bike? Well, I'm going to be honest, it's absolutely amazing. Today it's a Sunday, it's only 10 degrees out, and I've decided to do a 2-hour ride to Sports Bike Shop because my heated gloves have died. Off on a 2-hour ride to go and swap out these gloves. So what do I like about this bike and what do I not? Well, I haven't written any notes down, but off the top of my head there's two slight negatives with this bike. Actually, I'm going to call it 3, but overall it is absolutely amazing. What's the biggest thing about this bike? Well, unfortunately, it's the rear suspension. It is, you probably can hear it in my voice, it's just a bit too jarry. Doesn't handle big bumps well at all. On smooth roads, it's okay. I do have it on the softer setting. I know that some people say put it on 2 settings up, and somehow that sorts it. I don't know how that would. I've not tried it. I should have tried it, but I've just gone ahead and bought some Hagen rear suspension, custom made for my weight, and they shall be arriving tomorrow, hopefully. I might not have time to fit them this week with work. Quite looking forward to them, seeing how they're going to go. I did buy a screen for the Royal Enfield because I wanted in these winter months to be a bit warmer. You know, you're not going the sort of speeds on this bike where wind blast is a problem. So, you know, summer's absolutely fine, but in the winter, it does. My commute is about an hour each way, so you know the cold can get to you. In terms of servicing as well, it seems like the service intervals for things like valve clearances is just way too short. You know, I done these valve clearances at about 2,000 miles. I know that you meant to do them at about the 600 mark. You know, I didn't want to have to do them and then do them really short after again. So I've done them now. The bike's a bit tappier now, but I think that's because when I adjusted the valves, they were very tight. So now the noise is probably what I should be hearing, and it seems like a lot of people experience that same sort of thing. When they take their bike to their first service, it becomes quite tappy after, and I think that's because the valves have now been adjusted to the way they should be. I think for oil changes and things like that, it's about every 3,000 miles. It is what it is. I don't think that most people that buy this bike, you know, they're not using it to do, you know, crazy long commutes and things like that. I don't think that people use the bike as much as I would, for example, because of the style of it and the power, which we'll get onto. I think people are more looking at this bike for a Sunday bimble around the back roads, which is what I bought this for, but it's so good that I just use it all the time now. So my next little thing that I'm not really too fond of. Now I know you're going to be like, wow, you know, you should have known about this before, and yeah, I did, but the power sometimes it's just a smidgen too small. You get people that are like, wow, it cruises at 70 miles an hour happily, that's all you ever need. Well, it doesn't cruise at 70 miles an hour happily. Sometimes it'll get to 70 miles an hour, and sometimes it won't get to 70 miles an hour, and if you have managed to get to 70 miles an hour, you are really stressing the engine. So yeah, forget about 70 miles an hour on incoming wind, forget about 70 mile an hour cruising. It's not built for it, and I can't complain too much. This bike is a happy cruiser at 50 miles an hour. That's where it wants to be at. 55 is fine, 60 is fine, but its happiest is about 50 miles an hour. Around town, things like this, absolutely perfect. Really in its element of things like this. So, what are the things that I do like about this bike? Well, there are plenty. Some of them are more harder to explain because it, you know, it's quite subjective. First thing I love about this bike is the way it looks. It's absolutely beautiful. It looks old, it looks great. A lot of people come up to me and say how good it looks. I think it looks great. I've got a Honda CB750 Hornet, and I've done 4,000 miles on that bike and 2,700 on this. I've had the Hornet way longer, and this bike gets way more attention than the Hornet does, and the Hornet's, you know, it's sporty, it's loud, but you know, I think people love this sort of bike, and I'm definitely the same. I think it looks great. And the next thing that is sort of subjective that I really like about this is just how nice it is to ride. Yes, the rear suspension's a bit firm, the front's fine, it's the rear. I can't explain why this is so much more fun to ride if I'm doing the speed limits. So if I'm on a 50 road doing 50, I'd rather be riding this than my Honda, and my Honda's arguably more comfortable. I guess the ergonomics, like the way that you're seated, isn't as comfortable, but the suspension on the Hornet is just so much better. It does make it more of a plush ride. You know, I didn't understand it until I test ridden it. I only wanted one of these because, let's be real, they're really cheap and they look good. So I was like, you know, oh, I'll get one of these, but I didn't realise how much I was going to love it. This is definitely a bike that I will be keeping. Which, this brings me on to my next point, what I really like about this bike, and it is the miles per gallon that I get out of it. So as you can see, you know, I do take it pretty slow on this. We're in a 60 mile an hour limit at the moment, and I'm doing about 52, 53, but there's no point in a bike like this, you know, ragging it. I've got more throttle to use, but it would climb ever so slowly, and I'd probably only get to about 60 maxed out on this particular road that we're on, because we've got the wind against us and we're going slightly uphill. Yeah, I mean, with my riding characteristics, I'm getting between 90 and 100 miles per gallon out of this. My highest I've had is, I think it was about 104 mpg, and the lowest I've had is low 90s. I've not been into the 80s. The type of riding that I do is, to be fair, I'm bimbling around. In the summer I do a lot of really narrow single lane tracks at very low speeds, but in the winter you can't really do that because there's too much leaves on and mud on the road on them types of roads. So I'm left to these sort of bigger A roads, and I will just sit at 50, 55, sometimes 60. It depends if there's traffic behind me or not, because I don't want to hold traffic up. I'm not the lightest. I think I'm about 13 stone at the moment, but yeah, this bike is insanely frugal, and I don't often thrash it. You know, you do have to, because every now and again, because it's a very low powered bike. It's not fast, but it's also frugal, so that is, you know, that's nice. You don't buy a bike like this to go fast, but then at the same time, if you want to overtake someone, you can forget about it. If you're doing 50 miles an hour, if I wanted to do 60 on this 60 road, and there was a car in front of me, I wouldn't be able to overtake. Even on this downhill, I wouldn't have enough time before I wouldn't be able to see what's behind that crest. So you are stuck behind cars unless they're doing 45 miles an hour and under and you're on a straight road. So as a conclusion then, I've been loving this motorcycle. It's been great. You know, I've had no reliability issues so far. I just don't think that you can get a bike that offers this amount for this little money. You know, now they're even starting to come down even more. I don't know why. It's amazing. I mean, it's the end of the year now, so winter's come in, Christmas is coming in a few days, and no one wants to buy bikes at the moment. So that might be why, but I've seen this bike as low now as £2,890 or somewhere in that region, which is an absolute steal. If you want in loads of power, if you want in a comfortable 70-80 mile per hour cruiser, this isn't the one for you. But if you're willing to sort of, you know, sit back a little bit and relax, this is excellent. As a quick rundown of what I've done to this bike, not a lot at all. Bar end mirrors, 20mm handlebar risers, heated grips, some adjustable levers. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.